How to calculate the average training cost per employee. Do you want to know the real cost for training your employees? I think you'll want to know. So what are the biggest problems in our industry today? And how does it tie into training? How much should we be spending on our employees? What is a formula you can use to actually calculate this? And what are some of the biggest pitfalls that I'm going to warn you about today? Well, if you want to find out, then stay with this video because we're going to talk about that now. All right, so let's have some fun with this video right here. Everything I'm about to say is absolutely amazing and mind-blowing. And it's true. And I'm telling you, all of the data, I'm completely making it up. So I just want you to know, this should leave you with an aha moment. And I hope it's impactful. But I want you to know, I'm drawing on some, I'd say, dramatized numbers to get you to really understand, wow, this is the situation we're dealing with. So you're going to love this video. It's going to open your mind. And I've made all of it up. So what are the three biggest problems in construction? Well, in my opinion, is we don't plan projects well enough and give people enough time, number one. And this is all backed up, but this is actually backed up by data in the book called How Big Things Get Done. We do not plan projects properly. We do not use the right systems. And number three, yes, you guessed it, we do not train our people anymore. Let me explain this. I observe, and let's say this was 10 or 15 years ago, these $1 billion companies, right? That's their revenue per year. They would have a training budget that amounted to such and such dollars, right? Let's just say it was 300,000 or it was $1.2 million or whatever it was, right? When they were a $1 billion company, they had a certain training budget. And now these big businesses have scaled to like 6 billion, 7 billion, 8 billion, right? And their training budgets did not follow the same growth. Meaning if the revenue is now at 600%, the training budgets maybe are at 150%, 200, but they did not follow the same path. So now we have 6 times as many people and 6 times as much risk, and we're doing this much training, right? It is not proportional. We have a huge problem. We're doing larger projects. There's greater needs in the economy today, and nobody is getting the training that they need or deserve. These people are great, but they're not getting the training they deserve. So first and foremost, I'm going to give you some minimums. And actually, I'm probably shortchanging myself. This is real. This is real stuff. Every human being that you employ in your business needs 2 solid weeks of training minimum. 2 weeks, that's 80 hours, that's 10 working days, that's a minimum. That is a fact. If you really want to build great people and train them properly, you need at least 2 weeks. That's 80 hours, that's 10 working days a year to train them. And if you think it's expensive to train someone and then even have a little bit of a fear that they might leave, you've trained them, they'll leave. Consider how expensive it's going to be for you if you don't train them and they stay in your organization. So let me give you another number. And I have observed this and I believe this is true. You need to be spending at least $1,500 every year minimum on training your people. And I would actually even say that's probably going to be external. Like that means they're going to a certification training, or they're learning from the AGC, or they're going to LCI, or they're doing an online course, or they're doing some courses with us at Elevate. Whatever it is, $1,500 of external training seems to be the sweet spot in addition to the internal training that you're doing as a company. And I do want to say that's $1,500 per employee. Don't be like, oh, Jason said we got 100 people, we're going to spend $1,500. That's not going to do anything. $1,500 per employee. Yes, I understand that's expensive, but it has to be done. How expensive would it be if they're not trained? And so I hope you're sitting down, because we're about to get real on this one. When you get to a superintendent level, and a superintendent is starting to lead projects, maybe they're an assistant and they're starting to head in the direction of running their own projects, or you have an assistant project manager and they're like, I've almost got this. That's when you're going to start shelling out $3,000 per year, $5,000 per year, 7, 10, then 15, then 20. Don't get mad. And then in the general superintendent, project director, and project executive levels, you're going to start shelling out 25, 30 grand a year on training. I know you think that's crazy. I know it. I understand. I know that that sounds like a lot of money, but consider what these people are doing. They're overseeing like sometimes billions of dollars a year. At a minimum, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. Even if it was, hey, they're overseeing 5 small projects, your risk is proportionally greater. Like it's like you have a lot of risk on those projects. Your folks need to be trained. They need to be disciplined. They need to have the wisdom to run those projects right. So don't get mad. We're still friends. Please still like and subscribe to the channel. Please still reach out. Please still maintain this relationship. But when you get folks in those levels in construction, we really get to start shelling out the dough for the certification trainings, the design build trainings, the BIM trainings, the lean trainings, the scaffolding and safety trainings, right? The advanced leadership trainings like communication skills, diversity, right? You get to start paying for these things because the person themselves with training will start to really show up and perform as they have that kind of support. And you're only going to get that support if they have the training. And they only have the training if, yes, you pay for it. So please just wrap your mind around, if you have high-level folks, they need high-level training, which means sometimes that means high-level dollars. So here's a formula, and I hope you love it. If you're like, you know, Jay Money, you're super good looking, I love you, and like I love this channel, but you lost me. Like I'm not spending that kind of money. Well, here's where I want to introduce the formula. This is the formula for you to be able to calculate how much you not training is actually costing. So here we go. Take the amount of work they're responsible for, multiply it by 0.5, then multiply it by a percentage that represents, hey, if they deserve 10 units of training, right? I'm only giving them 4, right? So you're going to go ahead and use that 0.6, that 60% that you're not giving them, multiply your formula at this phase by 0.6, and then divide it by the people on the team. Okay, so one more time. Take the amount of work they're responsible for, multiply it by 0.5, multiply that by the percentage that you're not training them, and divide by the number of people on the team. And you will now see how much not training them is costing you. So let's get our calculators out and do this. So let's go ahead and do this for an assistant superintendent. So this assistant superintendent is doing $20 million worth of work. Okay, multiply that by 0.5. Okay, got that. Now let's say that I'm only doing minimal amount of training. There is quite a bit more training that I should be doing with this position. So I'm lacking about 80%. So I'm going to multiply this by times 0.8, okay? And divide that by the amount of people on the team. Say there's 5 people on the team, and I end up with $1.6 million. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your assistant superintendent could cost you this much money by not being trained and by making a major mistake. Now, it could just be $100,000, but I want you to know the real story of what you're up against. Remember this, from the book, How Big Things Get Done, projects are typically over their duration by 65%. And budget overruns are not just in the 10%, 20%. Again, they're up in the 65, 85%. So if you're like, hey, that $1.6 million number, that seems a little exaggerated. No, it's not. And everybody knows what I'm talking about, because we could bid a project to have a gross profit of 5 million and we end up getting 1.2. In some cases, projects are like, I'm at negative 2.3. Tell me this isn't a real number. Let's do one more example. Let's take a project manager, okay? And let's say that project manager is in charge of a $100 million project. I'll type that in now. Multiply it by 0.5. Multiply it by how much I'm not training them. So I'm going to say that this is for 40%. And divide by the amount of people on the team, which is 15. And so in this case, it's 1.3. And so I just want to say, like, could your project manager cost you that much money? Yes or no? From bad planning? Yes or no? From not having the right end date? Yes or no? From not being able to hit that end date and experiencing liquidated damages? Yes or no? So these numbers are not exaggerated. I was once on a project where they said the liquidated damages for being late was $40,000 per day. And they were tracking a month and a half behind before they called us in to help. Tell me these numbers aren't right. And so this little formula is just here to help you and to really provide a perspective of, hey, I'd better start training people and I'd better start preventing, because these numbers, even if the bell curve says that they're smaller, like $100,000, $200,000 numbers, my tail on the bell curve could end up at 1.3 million. So here's the problem. Let me just close this out and help you with this. A lot of times projects will say, okay, here are my general conditions, here are my general requirements, and in our budget, whether it's lump sum or not, hey, this is what I'm going to spend on training. Sometimes there's not even a training code. So project managers will manage what they can see. So they've got a job cost report. Nope, there's no budget here for training. You're not authorized for training. But guess what? We've got 2.5 million over here in contingency. So basically what we're doing is saying, I won't train my people. We will make a mistake and I'll just pay for it out of the millions in contingency. Not a big deal. Or out of fee. That's not a good plan. We need to move that money in. We need to do some preventative medicine, preventative maintenance, and prevent these things from happening. And we do that through support and training, okay? And so we have to get this done. So I just want you to know, if you're going to hire someone, and this was kind of a joke when I used to work at Hensel Phelps. And the joke was, as a field engineer, we are going to pay for training for you in training and mistakes. They never attempted to make mistakes. They're a great company, right? But we're going to train you. So if you make $65,000 a year or $85,000 a year, we're going to spend $85,000 training you. We're going to spend that on your training and fixing some of your mistakes when we let you like take the reins and get into some risky situations, right? That's just the fact of the matter. So I would assume that every year for new employees, you're going to spend 25% of their salary all the way up to 100% of their salary training them, and you could end up spending 2, 3, 4, 5 times that amount fixing mistakes if you don't train them. And so remember this quote: if you think it's expensive to train employees, and hey, I'm worried about them leaving, right? How expensive that is. Think about how expensive it would be if you don't train them and they stay. And so I'm going to give you a representative example of the skills and training needed for one role. I'm going to give it to you for superintendent. So I'm going to link you to the Miro board that will showcase that. Please go in there and I'll highlight it for you. Please go in there and see what books they should read, what trainings they should do, what concepts they should understand, what skills they should have, and the path that's required to train a remarkable superintendent. And hopefully with two things, with understanding how complex training actually is and what it can cost you if you don't do that training, I hope you're more committed to understand that we must train our people. And so now that we have the accurate vision or perspective of what it costs if we don't, I hope you're more committed to actually do it and provide the people what they need. I hope you've loved this video and I hope you love that formula. On we go.